know them. What's the rules?
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and call everybody to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and we'll go ahead and move on to public forum. I don't see anybody on the list for public forum, so we'll move to the agenda. Everybody had a chance to take a look at the agenda for the evening? Any clarifications, any additions?
Well, highlighted one in yellow is an addition.
Okay. All right.
So with the gambling permit, I assume that we can have two gambling entities in one establishment at the same time?
All right, good. All right, so we do have the one addition under departments for Cindy for resolution 2022-04, reestablishing precincts and polling places. I suppose this is because we're going into election year, or is this because of the district redrawing?
The district redrawing.
Okay, all right. All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that one addition.
all right, I have a motion by Dan to approve. Second by Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on to tonight's consent agenda. Everybody had a chance to look at that? I know, Pat, you had a question on that.
Yeah, I asked her at the wrong time,
Okay.
but she did
No worries.
answer it.
All right. Any other questions, clarifications?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Pat to approve,
I second that motion.
a second by Jan. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so at this time, I'd like to call Brian up to the dais here. What I'd like to do is take a moment to give you a token of our appreciation for the 16 years of service. You'll have to come up here and actually face the camera for us. So this is a small little token of our appreciation for the 16 years of law enforcement officer here for the
You're funny.
Valley Police Department. Yeah, no, appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
You gotta freeze a few minutes there. Gotta do pictures. There you go.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
All right. Man, we will go ahead and move on to boards and commission reports. Planning Commission, rezoning of parcel 24-0241-000 to industrial.
So, what's something I made out of piece, we had two businesses reach out to us, asking to get it rezoned industrial. They have since back out of that. But I thought it just made sense for that area, so we kept it on the zoning agenda and brought it to the board. And it kind of makes sense that it, it's right across from industrial. It's, that building is not, I don't know what it would be used for other than something in the manufacturing process. So the board voted all in favor of rezoning it to industrial.
All right. You'd mentioned that there was two businesses that were looking into it that would require the rezoning to industrial. They both pulled out?
Correct.
Okay.
One sounds like it's completely out. One, they just have some land marker issue type things, so they're still in the process of it. They just do their request to rezone.
Oh, okay. So it's just the request that they withdrew. Okay.
They're waiting for the current owners to survey the property because their surveyors found a discrepancy in the actual land, so.
Okay. Well, considering when that was platted,
Yep.
I can foresee an issue like that.
Absolutely.
All right. Any questions for Darren? Matt?
So the liquor store in that's just business, right? The medical center, okay. And then the empty lot to the east, is that zoned industrial?
It'd be the old
Towards-
Central Soda site.
Yeah,
So that is, that's zoned the same as the liquor store,
It's, commercial reserve, right?
commercial reserve
Highway.
highway.
Commercial reserve highway. And the reason why we couldn't rezone it because it wasn't part of our
Yes.
commercial
highway.
Yeah, we couldn't zone it as industrial because it wasn't part of the public hearing that we were having for this.
oh,
So if we were to do that, then we would have to have another.
Would that be something the commission be interested in looking at? Okay.
Next time we have a public hearing, lump it together. Looking at those properties.
so how far does the city limit go east? I mean, the next business?
I believe that's in.
If you look at you know where SDI is in those storage units?
Yeah.
Then there's an empty lot right next to that. And then right at the edge of that empty lot where there's some houses, that's where the city
Oh,
line
wow.
is.
Yeah. So we also had talked about making sure that we talk to STE to make sure, because he owns those two lots, to make sure that's something he wants before we just go ahead and do it. The property east of STE is pretty much all swamps. So I don't
It's a
think
swampland.
I don't think they really care. But for this project, yeah, we just looked at that building site.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Darren? Then there will be a motion on the table to approve the recommendation of the zoning board to rezone that 479 Meeker Avenue from commercial to industrial. Okay.
I'll make that motion.
All right, a motion by Pat. I'll go ahead and second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Anything else for Darren? All right. Thanks, Darren.
How are rental inspections doing?
We finally got the application for the one that we've been working with. We finally got that in, I just reached out to him this morning to get the inspection scheduled. So, I will do that now.
Okay. All right, thanks, Darren. All right, so then we'll move on to next item on here, police chief, police officer positions. So we talked about this at our previous meeting, and we had some homework, had some takeaways on that. So now we had the decision on the table to when Ernie decides to retire, what are we going to do about his position? So I will go ahead and start off the discussion with saying that I think tonight we need to make sure that we go ahead and approve that we will replace Ernie with a new police chief when he retires. Well, not when he retires, but hire a new police chief. So, and keep the police department up and running, not have a gap in service. So,
They seem to have a gap in service, regardless.
So what do we come up with as far as, we got numbers from Stearns, right? And the biggest issue is the zone, or the lines, correct?
Correct. I had talked to Dan Miller, who also, I had reached out to both counties and left messages for both, and Dan got back to me, and he said that he called Brian first of Meeker County and had a conversation with Brian at the same time. His county attorney said, unless there's a legislative action, they can't cross lines to provide service on the county line. His take was, can it happen? Yes, he told me to call Otsego. they have two county representing them. They're also very large. And so Hennepin County, they have a very distinctive freeway running there that blocks, is a defining line to the next county, right? I can't remember what county it was. Anyways, so he said it can happen. It's just 911 nightmare when it's a city road or a 2-lane road that, they're parked here and a 911 call comes from right there. And literally, he can't respond to the 911 call unless that county calls for mutual aid. So, he said it's a bad deal when you're a city like this.
Legislatively speaking, because the way the laws are written in the state of Minnesota,
Yes.
we in order for us to contract our police services out to a county, we would have to go with both Stearns and Meeker County, which is something we already pretty much knew. This just confirms it.
Correct. And my understanding, I didn't get a hold of Brian to find out if his actual answer, what Dan reported, is that neither county would do that. It's a 911 nightmare. So,
I'm glad the conversation came up because I've done a lot of homework on it. I've reached out, talked to a lot of business owners. Actually went to talk to the superintendents in school, talked to residents. And, I guess where I'm standing, I don't think, even if it was a possibility, I don't think it makes sense. I would rather see we keep our department. And with the conversations I had with the school, definitely Ernie's made an impact there. And it'd be nice if we can continue that, with the next new hire. But I'm glad the conversation came up. They put a lot of answers to bed. And there was a lot of interesting responses that I received. But I'm thankful for everybody that reached out and the people that did talk to me, like at the school and stuff. So my recommendation would be, I don't think, money-wise, it's so close, it doesn't pay. And once we get, if the department left, you're not gonna get it back. We just don't have the money. And I don't wanna take away something good that's been going. So I guess my recommendation is just to start the hiring process.
There's something to be said. For me, there's the heart of the community, and that heart of the community is made up of multiple parts. A police department, a functioning local government, the businesses, and the residents. If you lose a piece of that, your community gets weakened. And I think by not continuing our police department here, we lose a piece of that. We lose a piece of that not just the heart, but the history that goes along with that. I mean, for me, it's always been extra special to see our squad car patrolling the streets, seeing that out. I've always liked that, and I know there's others in the community that feel that same way. They like the presence. I know the school likes it. Likes the close coordination that we have with the police department and the collaboration we have. I want to make sure we can keep that going. So my recommendation is we get rolling on hiring a chief.
I definitely agree with that. We want to keep our own police department. This shows a lot more respect, working with the school and everything else, so I think it's just a lot better deal with having our own. Over the years that I've been on city council and stuff, there's been talk about not having a police here, have a contract with the counties. And then at that time, the counties, and quite a while ago, the county wouldn't even take it on because of manpower. They didn't have the manpower to take it on themselves. And I think we get a lot better service having our own police chief and officers if we decide that.
There's nothing I can say to add on to any of that, so I'm in agreement.
I agree. We need a body here.
All right, then I will go ahead and officially make a motion that we officially start the process of looking for and hiring our next police chief for the city of Eden Valley.
I'll second the motion.
I have a second by Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next thing on the agenda is for something that I would like to see is that we, for our other position that's available, that we approve that we will hire another officer, but we don't post that until we've got a police chief. And we let our new police chief do the search for that new officer. That way, that police chief has picked somebody that will be working with them closely for hopefully many years to come. So,
Doing it that way, that'll build a better police department.
mhm.
The chief is involved, so yeah, that's the only way to do it, I think.
Makes sense to me.
And I would also like to also put forward as part of this position that it also be full-time.
I have no problem with that, as long as we can afford it and let the budget for it and stuff. And
I think financially as a city, even though we didn't plan for it for this year's budget, I think we, just where we're sitting at financially for this year, I think we can make it work. And then, we can make sure going forward, we've got it planned for 2023.
I would like to look at that a little bit more. Cindy, do you know where we're at as far as like with our part-time? I mean, is it compute out? Are we better off? What we're paying out, are you better off with a full-time? I mean, does it make sense?
Are you asking financially or hours? as
Yeah,
an
I'm just
officer?
saying, does it,
I mean, there's two,
because.
one is hours for an officer, that's his discussion.
So I'm looking
Financially,
at the whole package. I'm not
Yeah.
looking just at it, because we all know,
Right.
insurance, we're looking at everything. You can hire somebody full-time, but there's a pretty good sized back end to this too. So that's what I just wanna be cognizant of. Public safety, I'm not trying to shy from that. I just, if it makes sense, but as a total package, there's a pretty big jump there.
prior to this, we had full-time, Ernie with a little bit of overtime, obviously. A 20-hour-a-week person, divided up 16 and 24, but it comes out to 20-hour-a-week. And then the other officers were very part-time, that came to maybe 300 a year. So if we said 10 or 15 hours a month, total, heavier in the summer and lighter in the winter. Does that sound about right, Ernie? And I know there's times where we're short on being able to cover if he wants to take vacation or,
But I guess then the other side of this is, the chances are, because you're at the top. How we budget, we're at the top. When we're not gonna be starting at that.
right?
So if you offset those numbers, that would actually come back the other way,
You can offset a few of the numbers, obviously, but.
right? I mean, it's gonna be a little higher, but it's not gonna be, if you're hiring starting off at the top of the line and.
I think just because of the environment we're in, I mean, that's up to the council, but you're gonna have to probably think outside the box a little bit on some of that, just because of the environment we're in.
So do you think it would be, in my opinion, I guess, just kind of going back with Brent saying, I don't have a problem with that. If you look at the pros and cons, I'm just, throwing the total package out. We might be able to get people and retain them if you're hiring a full-time position.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So, and
that's
that's the
where,
thing.
and that's where, I was gonna go next,
Yeah.
is that, you're only gonna get a part-timer for a part-time officer for somebody that's you know, they're in retirement, so they're just looking for some hours, or, you know.
You just wanna
it's-
stop that revolving door, because you're not gaining anything.
Right.
Or just keep shelling money out for that, so, I mean, if that's the, I don't have a problem with the full-time, I mean, if that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to kind of think of that as a whole, but
Yeah, ultimately, here's my view on this, is that I want to be able to make sure that the incoming chief, us as a council, set them up for success right out of the gate.
100%.
And for me, that means having the ability, having an open position for another full-time officer that he can look for to fill right away. Because that's gonna be, in the long run, I strongly feel about this, is that it's gonna be easier for him to fill that full-time position than trying to find a part-time. And soon as the end of June comes along, he's, you know, he keeps saying he's gonna help out as much as he can, he's gonna stick around and that stuff, but I want him to be able to enjoy his retirement. And be able to do that on July 1st. He's hung up, you know, he's turned in his badge, he's hung up his belt, he's off, he's enjoying his next stage of life.
I don't have a problem, I don't,
Yeah.
I just, you know, just
You would-
wanna be cognizant of that.
Excuse me, you'd asked on financially, not counting sick and vacation benefits, because that I'd have to figure out what the liability is for that, but it's another 57,000
Or full-time.
to go from having a part-time person, and if we made that person full-time, it would be another 57, and the big is in the insurance, obviously.
Yeah.
And I have to budget that at the maximum insurance, not the minimum insurance, so.
Right.
Until you know for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
how many overtime hours were you getting, very much, or?
I will
No,
say Brian left, but when Brian was full-time, the difference between part-time and full-time is that worked was then you could cover each other's vacation times and make that work and just change schedules a little bit. Which, you know, the council, when you hire the new guys, it's something you should talk about, because instead of one guy and part-time guys, you got a full-time guy. Instead of overlapping some areas, you can go to single coverage work, you know, it just works with vacation, and obviously, hope you don't get sick at the same time, that's why you do need some part-time on the schedule, but it just makes things a lot different when you have two full-time guys. And when Brian was full-time, he's gone now, but we made that work. In our schedules, when I was off, we would just change things a little bit, we would shift weekends, do what we had to do to make it work, so that's the difference.
well, the two full-time couldn't be Monday through Friday.
Correct.
You can't cover, you know, you can't cover
No,
around the
well,
clock.
you-
Take the two guys in the same squad.
That's right, so.
You know,
it's-
you alternate
yeah,
weekends, you
yeah.
work every other weekend, you work, you know, you shift, whatever, I mean, and when the other guy's on vacation, you just move things around, so you at least get the days in the summers you need covered, and it does work, I mean, we did make it work. You're gonna have to fill in with some part-time every now and then, but there's some other things that we can talk about, maybe at a workshop. I mean, there's some things out there's some possibilities that I think is really good right now. It's just because of the way things are, there's some other stuff out there that the council can look at, and I've talked to the mayor a little bit about it, so that's a topic for another day, but there's some other stuff out there.
Actually, cost of equipment, if you have a full-time or a part-time, is about the same, right?
Exactly the same.
You got a uniform and all that stuff, and whatever else goes with it, so that's not anything different there.
I'm assuming like training and all that stuff is, yeah, keep up their boards, or, you know, all that stuff is
I
all the
would say we
same.
probably wind up saving a little money on training, because, you know, Ernie's seen the revolving door with his part-timers, where he sends them to training, they work here for 6 months, a year, and they're off to next spot, gotta start all over again.
Well, I
Or if
mean,
you have a full-time, then it just,
Dan's been long enough to know, back in the day when we went through a lot of guys. I mean, they would be here long enough to get their experience and they were gone, that was part of the deal. And that's why we went to a full-time guy, which killed most of that, you know, for a few years. And then we went back to the semi-part-time, which was nice, but you're not gonna ever find a 20-hour-a-week guy, that's never gonna happen. So then we went to revolving door, which we've been kind of living through again, and Cindy's aware of it. It's hard to get people to work when they're working for other agencies and they're trying to fill schedules. If you're not number one, you're always gonna be number two or three. So,
To be honest, I think it's gonna get worse.
yeah.
You see what's going on,
Well, you've been out there enough, Troy, I mean, you did your rounds, you talked to a lot of people, you know, And you talked to the sheriffs, and I think some of you did your homework. I mean, it's hard right now, it's just, the people are not there like they were 10 years ago.
So that's where I think that kind of carrot has to dangle a little bit, you know, so.
And you can do a lot more things, and we talked about this a little bit with the full-time guy, you can get in the school more, you know, in the quiet times in that December to February, I mean, you can get in the school more, you can do stuff more with the kids, you know, it just works better because you have two guys that can actually do that. So not just one guy.
Is there a need for another car?
Not if we
I
have.
don't think so, no.
Me and Ernie talked about that a little bit, and I don't think there would be.
You're never gonna work the same time, so I mean, that
No.
car, you know, as long as you stick on a 4 or 5-year-old.
And if they do work, if they end up working at the same time, you know, they can get to know each other.
There we go, bonding time.
Exactly. Little in squad bonding time.
One on foot and one in the car.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey.
Valley Days would be, you know, that happens when you're on at the same time.
Okay.
All right. So.
We need to decide how long we wanna have this application open.
Well, I would say, you know, I would say we put a pin in that. I don't know if we necessarily want to put an end date on that, because with the current hiring climate, you know, I would hate to have us boxed in. Well, let me backtrack on that a little bit. I think I know where you're going. We probably do want to have an end date on that, but with the option to extend. Because we may get no candidates, you know, in that time period. We may get 5. We may look at those 5 and be like, no, we don't want any of these 5. And so we want to keep looking. I want to make sure that we do find the right candidate.
Legally, can we say we'll open it up for 2 months and we have 5 candidates in a month? Legally, can we close the application?
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to
Anytime you
hire
want.
anybody that
Yeah.
applies. Right, right.
I wouldn't be,
We really want to set your start date. That's what you do first. And from there,
just back.
the rest, you just back it up and that's,
And from when me and Ernie were talking, you were looking at like about a month you would want to have with the new police chief?
It would be nice to have a little bit of time, just to, I think 30 days would probably be enough. I mean, once you have with Jim, Zach, 30?
Yep.
I mean, it's not like it was 20 years ago, there's a lot of stuff.
Unfortunately, Cindy, with the situation when you came on, we didn't have that luxury.
it's all right.
So we're looking at a June 1st start date for the chief.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so then we would want to have at least a couple of weeks to do interviews. So now
Oh,
we're
absolutely.
already, you know, middle of May.
You're probably gonna wanna allow that person, if they're working somewhere, to give their 2 weeks' notice.
Yeah,
And they may come with a position that they need to give a 30-day notice.
yeah.
So,
Now we're into
Right.
April.
yep. Yeah, we don't have, from this meeting on, we don't have a lot of time.
Far away,
For-
but very close.
It is very
It's
close.
time
Awful
you
quick,
start
yeah.
getting
Yeah.
all your, everything that needs to
Yeah.
be.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I
So,
think if you actually go back and look at, like I was talking to Sheriff Creed and Sheriff and looking at all these places out in hiring, if you go back and look and talking to those guys, they've been looking for a long time
Yeah.
themselves, you know, so it's not, you know, look at our town to the west of us here, they got some unique strategies out there and they haven't filled it, so.
I've had 2 phone calls about it, but I don't have any idea if they're qualified people or not. I know they're current officers somewhere, or a current chief. I think one's a current.
no, I'll go on record and say, I don't think it's gonna be as tough. It's gonna be tough, but I don't think it's gonna be as tough as we think.
Well, I hope you're right.
We have a good reputation here in town. And even with recent circumstances, I think that's not gonna tarnish things. I think people look favorably upon the city of Eden Valley. I think they look very favorably on how the police department's been run over the years with Ernie at the helm. I think that will bode well for us. I gotta be the optimist. Yeah, maybe Ernie's rubbed
You guys
off on
been
me a
talking
little
too
bit,
much.
yeah.
Where are we at with our decision
Yeah,
making
so,
process here?
so,
we agreed
we,
to
we got two things that we were talking about. First thing was, is that the part-time.
Mhm.
You know, and do we move forward with, you know, do we agree that we want to hire another full-time officer?
I think if we
That's
can
option
find
one.
a second full-time officer, we should.
Yeah, but we hold off until we've got our police chief hired and let the new police chief hire that. I just want to have that on there, so that way that can be part of, you know, any times we're talking with a potential police chief, you know, hey, that's another, like, use your term, little carrot.
Well, it just makes sense that
Yeah.
they have that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of that. So, who would like to make the motion
What am I making a motion on?
on the second full-time?
I make a motion that we hire a second full-time officer,
You have a full-time chief.
chief, okay, one full-time officer that the new chief can hire when we get a chief. Huh?
All right,
I'll second that.
Dan beat me to it, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Just, can I add a piece to that discussion? Again, set the start time. When do you want this officer to start? Do you want to wait and have the chief say
I think we should wait.
completely? Okay,
Yeah, I think we wait until, let him decide that.
yeah, okay.
We don't wanna say, okay, yeah, let's have the new officer start on
August
July
1st.
1st or August 1st, and he hasn't even had a chance to.
Yeah, right now, we'll
Get his
just,
feet
we'll just
set.
consider that just an open rec that's on the table,
Okay.
waiting for the new chief.
He's gonna come in rolling.
Yep,
He's not gonna apply for a police chief job and not come in rolling.
right.
Would he? No.
Or
Or her, you know, I mean,
that's qualified.
yeah, when Ernie took over, he was maybe a little green, but he was rolling, so this one will too.
So have we decided when the date will start?
Well,
to
then
look
that's
for?
that's the second part. For the length of we'll leave,
Yep.
leave the police chief posting out there. So I think we came, end of April?
That you're gonna close the,
But we'll close that, we'll take whatever applicants we have in there and start reviewing those.
That's getting pretty close to June.
It is, I would say, let me give you the dates going backwards, rather than worry about when it
I
closes.
thought
Because you're gonna need to close, mid-April to allow reviewing of the applications, get the interviews done, allow this person 15 to 30 days notice to start on June 1st. The first 7 days you have to post internally to your union representatives.
so, question for you. Can-
Zach, you looking for an upgrade?
Can the applicants be interviewed as they come in, instead of waiting for a whole bunch of, applicants come in and you go through the review process, or?
You can, however, part of the review process is looking at the applications, and you might have not interviewed this one had you known there would be 6 applications. That's part of what you do, is review.
We'd probably want to wait until the end of,
I was just trying to figure out if there's a way to streamline that process a little bit.
I get it.
And it's okay to have it open for a month, and then if we need to, then we continue that, that's okay.
All right, so we're looking
Or we
at,
open-ended,
so mid-April, so we say tax day?
sure. Otherwise, we can have it just be open-ended.
You can close at any time.
Yes, and it's just open, and the start date, the desired start date is June 1st. Then people know, if you wait till April or May 15th to apply, you may miss the opportunity.
I actually like that, and I think that's where we were originally gonna go.
All right?
Well, let's do that. Do you want a motion on that, Cindy?
Nope,
All
I'm
right,
good with that.
all right, everybody on board with that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. No curveballs tonight, Troy. All right, anything else on that quick? I know, I don't wanna make sure I'm not leaving anything on the table anybody wants to bring up? All right, then we'll move on to bills.
You should have those before you, the bills. We have a total of $108,430.08 in bills that I need approval, and I'm quickly looking for our ever,
There is one in there for.
all right, there sure is.
Yep. So then I'll make a motion to pay the bills except for Thielen Machine.
I
Sec-
second that motion.
Second by Jan, all in favor?
Aye.
Then I will
Make a
make,
motion to pay Teal Machine.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Dan abstains. All right, on to departments. So Cindy, financial report.
You should have that in your packet as well. I remember once that Councilmember Becker had asked for a monthly cash balance report, and I was not so great last year on providing them monthly, more like quarterly. So now this year I'm gonna inundate you with our cash balances. Right now, or effective February 28th, we have a total in our cash and our two investment funds and our CD, $3,610,62.
Oh, that's quite the balance.
Yes, it's a hefty balance.
But we gotta be, the caveat on that is that that doesn't mean that's funds on hand. That means that's investments. That mean, you know, a lot of that money will get paid out in
Absolutely.
day-to-day business.
Yep, it does. It's a good place to be, is to have a nice investment, but you're right, this isn't, you know, we get to go spend 3 million, we have bonds and payments that have to get made out of these.
And we'll find out in a couple months how we're sitting as far as how many months we can run.
That's right. Yep,
And the tanker truck fund, is that the money that's in here?
sure, that's down on your
Here,
number 470, they have 149,780.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Whatever that comes, that money will be gone then.
yep, yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I will keep on that, so that you get that report on a regular basis. The other piece is the resolution. This is a requirement, I will be giving it both to Stearns and to Meeker County, but it's a requirement from the state. They did their congressional and legislative redistricting. It doesn't affect Eden Valley at all. We're not being redistricted, but we're required to turn in a resolution. So you have the map, it's the colored one, we're not impacted, but the resolution just, we have to restate where we vote and where, I can't find the resolution. Where is it here? Thank you. Oh, I do it. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward. We have one precinct and we vote here, City Hall. I just need your approval on that.
All right. Any questions on the resolution on the table? All right. Anybody want to do the honors?
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2022-04.
I have a motion to approve,
I second that motion.
second by Jan. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And lastly is just the audit, obviously was last week and into this week, so thank you for those who got phone calls for answering. Well, I assume I can thank you. What I know. They don't tell me what you say. But thank you.
Maybe they tried to call, but
But I think it was Jan this time that we're calling, so that was a good deal.
You know, since I've been on council, so,
All right.
I like you.
yeah, I guess so.
They were all new, all four. I've never met them, seen them, or spoken to them. We only email. So that's it.
All right, anything for Cindy? on to police. Ernie?
You got the monthly stats. I think I kicked you a short little blurb in your emails. What we were up to and you know what we've been going through the last couple of weeks. If you get a chance to see either one of your sheriffs, I would thank them very much, especially Sheriff Cruz, who's been phenomenal to work with. The council's curious about kind of how things go, the way we proceed forward. Is everybody aware of kind of how things work or where we're going? Been updated, no? So what happens right now is the BCA has the case. Once they get done with their review, which tonight I talked to the lead agent, and let Mayor Banks know what's going on, I just talked to her tonight by email. They're gonna probably wrap their case up by the end of March. And once that's done, they package it up and they send it to our county attorney, which would be not Stephanie, but, our county attorney, while I'm having a brain cramp. And then she reviews everything and they do what they call a declination if she so decides to do that. And all that means is they're doing a declination of charges against the officer. And then once they're completely done, she's done with that, she'll package that up and send it to us. Once we get it, then we have to do an IA, and then
Which stands for,
Internal affairs.
internal affairs investigation.
just for the people that are watching at home.
Okay. And then we do that, and the chief of Wilmer, Chief Felt, has agreed to do our IA for us. He puts a panel together, and I think the council got the email on that, or not, I don't know. I sent that to you.
I honestly, I can't remember
You
if I
don't
sent it
remember,
on
okay.
or
So whenever
you
they
sent
get
it, I don't know.
They review everything that the county attorney sends out, they then review it all. They come back with a finding of justified, policies were followed, everything was fine. And then they give you, their findings, and then they send that to you. And then we move on, hopefully. And that's how it works.
We take the internal affairs investigation as that, they do the investigation and give the chief their recommendation, and then the chief and the council have to make a final decision
Correct.
on that. Yeah.
So that's how that works. So into March for one, probably a couple weeks to a month with the other one. In reference to our car, I'm not sure when we're gonna get that back. So, we'll work through that as we can. Sheriff Cruz has been kind enough to let us use one of their squads. We're using that for now until we get our car back. So that's that. Any questions on that so far?
Questions for Ernie?
Yeah, I think, obviously we'll be fine. Not an incident that any of us would ever want to go through. I get paid to do the administrative part, Cindy gets paid. I'd like to give a public thank you to Cindy. She's been absolutely very amazing during this process. She's helped out a lot, so thank you publicly. And obviously the officer, stay in touch, do your things, and just wish him well, and he's doing fine, and we'll get through it. That's all there is to it, I guess.
All right, any questions for Ernie? Thanks, Ernie. Thanks for the update.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else, that's all I got.
All right, Zach, how big the check's gotta be this month?
Not too big. Got a little sheet there in your packet about the part-time seasonal lawn mowing, so like to advertise for that position.
Apply for that?
Can you start on April 15th?
No.
Not that.
Pretty short.
Yeah. So,
Oh, you ain't got a car, you put the light on it.
there you go.
Too soon.
I guess so.
All right, moving on, folks.
Yeah, so seasonal lawn mowing, mowing lawn and lawn maintenance, weed whipping, pruning some trees and shrubs. if anybody out there knows of anybody that's looking to apply for a part-time job, come on into Eden City Hall and grab an application.
If I remember right, we'd already kind of pre-approved this job rec, or
When
Yeah.
Dave had retired, yeah.
Basically, it's just filling his position.
it's just filling
Right.
his,
Same thing.
yeah.
Same thing, just, yep,
But you have to open it up for,
In the personnel policies, it allows him to, the public works director, to make the decision if it's needed and to hire.
Yep.
It's not a position that we have to go through the interview process and gather all these people together. No, he can, certainly, Zach can ask somebody to sit in with him, but, yep.
yeah. Pretty straightforward.
All right. No, it looks good. Any questions for Zach on the seasonal position?
Their approval in April, right? April, the first meeting in April.
All right. What else you got for
Oh,
us?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We got, at the shop, our water temp's at about 40 degrees, so we're sitting there good, but just a friendly reminder to residents to maybe check on their water temps to see what they're seeing at their houses, so I only checked Ernie's earlier this week and it was at 37.5, so you get to that 35 range, it gets a little eerie about freezing up, so.
just because it gets warmer doesn't mean it's going away. It's actually, it gets worse.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Don't think because the temps get warmer, you're out of the blue, because it's actually gonna cool down before it.
Is that because it'll, the warm air will push the frost down deeper? Okay.
They did put information on the website, tips for what to do, to help prevent that, or,
So if you're looking for some more information, that's on the city website there.
Okay.
That's about all I got.
Got any that are froze up already?
We had two. We got two right now that are froze up. So, one's up,
Had two, or they are?
they still are, yeah. So they won't thaw out until spring, so they're on bypass right now. So.
When they're frozen like that, are we worried about them, like the lines cracking or breaking, or
It'll just freeze back towards the main, but the main,
main will be fine?
yeah,
Are you temping them?
a little eerie. Yeah, from another house, yeah.
All right. Anything for Zach? All right. Thank you, Zach.
You.
All right, on to other, council, anything?
Nope.
All right, so, you ready, Jan?
I guess so.
So, Jan, I know we've talked about this before, and I know when you made your announcement that, we all had lots of kind things to say. I'm not gonna turn this into a roast, so we'll continue to, we're gonna continue to be nice. We'll save that for your going away. But I wanted to just say, thank you. Not just for what you've done for the city, sitting behind the dais here, but just everything you've done for the community over the years. With the different organizations in town that you've been in, the different outreaches you've done with networking you've did with residents here in town. It's people like you that are the heart of the city. So what we did,
Oh, no.
yes, you're gonna have to get up and be embarrassed, so. All right. You know what? I step on your jacket. That's okay. All right. We want to give you our very own certificate of appreciation for your service to the city, being on council. I know I've told you this story many times, but I still remember when I was first running for mayor, you stopping by my house, asking me for your vote and handing me a card because you weren't on the ballot. Going, here's how you can spell my name correctly. So, we wanted you to have this, something you can take with you.
Thank you. On the wall.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You are welcome, Jan. Thank you.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. there won't be anybody to pick on me. But I'm gonna keep watching
Well,
online and
I've
keep you
been
guys
ta-
in line.
I've been talking about maybe doing like city retreats with the council, and we just come visit you, and then we can just rag on you for your entire weekend.
Yes, yes.
I'm just
We
kidding.
get good fishing. I got a lake right across the.
Dan has a camper.
Dan's got a camper?
You have a
Yeah,
camper?
Well, it's a permanent camper, a tent.
yeah, see, there we
You're
go.
welcome. Come to Rice Lake anytime.
All right, anything else?
Nope.
All right, so then that brings us to upcoming meetings. Oh, and by the way, this is Jan's official last meeting with us.
Yes.
So, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, so now we're up to upcoming meetings. So March 16th, we'll have a March 16th will be a workshop if needed. Right now, there isn't anything really tentatively scheduled, but that could change in the next couple weeks. So we'll have that on the books for now, but that may change. And then our next meeting is going to be April 6th. That's going to be also include our board review. So as we do every year, 7 o'clock will be Stearns County, and then 7:30 will be Meeker County, and then we'll be starting an hour later with our regular council meeting at 8. Cindy also had a really good idea on trying to keep that meeting from going too late about shifting some stuff around and having some other, because that usually is when Janelle Kendall comes in, that's usually when we have the audit review come in, so we have the board of reviews that night. So Cindy had a good idea of maybe pushing some of that to other meetings, and that way that meeting doesn't end up being a marathon that night. So, all right, with that being said, I will go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
I'm gonna miss you guys, you know that.